Full of frustration, full of despair. Two British football fans have had enough. The MLS UK Show.
Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of the MLS UK Show. I'm Henry Hewitt, and as always I'm joined by...
Elliot Holman.
It is time. She is finally here. We had prepared a statement saying that if she couldn't make it, we will give you a free kit review for later in the season. We're going to put it online, but no, Poppy's kit reviews have been recorded. You will hear 32 kit reviews on this episode because there are two teams that have released multiple jerseys, and she's back to her best. If you are new to this, we will explain later on, but basically my wife Poppy reviews the new jerseys every single season and is quite unique in a perspective of the jerseys, but that'll come later in the show.
Sorry, I know that we do an MLS podcast, and I know it's been 7 years. 32, is that where we're at now?
Yeah, 30 teams.
Jeez.
Two have released two. That's Miami and San Diego. Don't know why Miami have done it, but I think
I do.
I think having Leo Messi as your model for them has helped. But yeah, 32 kits, and she will then choose a top three after that as well. So yeah, that's coming up later on the show.
Have we had to pay her for this? It must have taken hours.
Yeah, it took quite a while. We were reliant on Arthur being asleep for his nap, and he did us a favour, to be fair. He napped for longer than an hour, so it meant we could have lunch as well. So, yeah, it was a great afternoon recording it. But before we hear Poppy's kit reviews, let's look back at the first 2 weeks of MLS. Of course, we're going into week 3, and there's been differing starts for certain teams. Some teams have won 2, some teams have lost 2, and some teams are making it very difficult for us to predict what is going to happen in week 3. But Elliot, you have been looking at contrasts between certain teams on week 1 and week 2. So the floor is yours. What have you found?
Yeah, so we go into week 3. Really exciting week 3, and we still have no idea about how all of these teams are going to have a season play out, which is really interesting. So in week 1, I don't always want to talk about Orlando, but this is a pretty big contrast. Lost 4-2 at home to Philadelphia, and I think Henry, you might agree, the general consensus was that Philly not even really huge contenders. Is that fair to say?
I'd agree with that, yeah. Going after week 2, though, I would change my mind on that, especially Ty Baribo scoring 5 goals, hasn't he? 5 goals. I think there's only been 4 other players to do that in MLS history, 5 in your first 2. But yeah, with him up front, I worked it out, actually. Let's have a look. Where is my notes on Philly? If he carries on this for the rest of the season, he plays every game, he will score 85 goals this season. So... pressure's on Ty.
And still, they'll vote Messi for some award. So Orlando lost 4-2 to Philly, and we were kind of thinking, well, I don't really even know if Philly are going to be like a huge contender for the title this year, so it was a worry. However, cut to week 2, Alex Freeman making his first start for Orlando at wing-back. Orlando looked really light at the back. We talked about this in the last episode. Stunning performance from Alex Freeman. Great goal. And Orlando won 4-2. So 4-2 loss, 4-2 win. The biggest contrast that I can find you in MLS currently. As Henry said, Philly went on to put 4 past Cincinnati last week as well. So maybe they are contenders. In week 1, Portland, we talked about last week, they lost to rivals Vancouver. They conceded 4 goals as well, had a man sent off, and we talked about Phil Neville not really making any tactical changes until they were 2-0 down. It was too late. But they turned it around.
Yeah, they did. And Da Costa got the goal in the 87th minute against Austin. And I think that's where Portland are at the moment. Those DPs that they do have, they really need them to step up, especially after that first week, because losing 4-1 to Vancouver, okay, they just lost 5-1 to Vancouver a few months earlier, but it's still not acceptable. And Phil Neville was under a lot of pressure, so they've had 2 home games, so to win the second one against Austin, keep a clean sheet, will do them a world of good. I guess it's how they push on now, but I think we're at that point with Portland. I mentioned there the DPs. They've obviously got Evander to replace at some point. You kind of hope for their sake that they've got some plans for later in the season.
Yeah, picked up a red card in the first game, 5 yellow cards for Portland in the second week. Is discipline going to be a little bit of a problem? It's one to watch. We'll get on to Miami, who are also in that category, picking up a lot of cards. Before the opening games in week 1, Henry, your team Atlanta were tipped to be contenders. Miguel Almiron rejoining from Newcastle. £22 million splashed on a striker, championship striker as well in Emmanuel Latilath. No lightweights going forward, but we said defence not quite up to scratch. It was going to be we're going to score one more than you kind of approach. And in week 1, they definitely took that approach. Week 2, not so much.
We said, though, didn't we? They're going to be a team who are amazing at home and not so good away. And I think after 2 games, they've proved that. Okay, it was the Wilfred Zaha show, wasn't it? And he did very well, got his goal, I think the assist had been taken off him, but let's call it an assist. And he was crowned the king, but Atlanta they crown kings as well. And I think it's going to be on the home farm that kings are made for my boys this year.
Okay, we'll see. Welcome to MLS, Wilfred Zaha, by the way. Gave Charlotte all 3 points in a 2-0 victory over the Five Stripes. Finally, Miami opened week 1 with, I'm going to say, a disappointing draw against NYCFC. Got a point on the board. They were down to 10 men after 25 minutes. And even with Messi on the pitch for 90, they only got a draw. He didn't travel to the Shell Energy Stadium in Houston at the weekend, and they didn't miss him at all. Suarez couldn't hit a barn door, and they still somehow scored 4 goals. Suarez was terrible. Seriously bad. I love him, by the way. It will come. He'll probably score a hat-trick this week. But they just looked a different class. And no Messi, no problem.
Yeah, well, I mean, who needs Messi and Suarez when you've got Segovia scoring the goals that he's scored so far? I actually looked into it. He only scored 2 in the previous. Basically signed from Portugal, didn't he? Around Christmas, he only scored 2 before that. He's now scored 3 in 2 games for Miami. So he scored already more goals than he did there. But you know what? I was looking and I saw the result and I thought, yes, Miami are finding a way to play without Messi. And then it kind of hit me. I thought, he did that for most of last season and it got the record points total. So they know what they're doing. They know they can do it. And, it's fair enough. I mean, Suarez, he got his goal in the end and he did have a very good game, against Houston. But I think Suarez is really... I've been so impressed because I was expecting Luis Suarez to play 15 games a season. He'd just be a good signing, Messi's mate, and it works. It'll work out all right. He'll score some goals. Suarez has been so good. And if it wasn't for Messi, I think Suarez would be appreciated a lot more in MLS. And he's already started the season relatively well. And I think for me... kind of a lot more than Messi this season. Miami are hoping that Suarez can hit form, and if he does, then Miami could be threatening their own record in the regular season. Yeah,
agree with you on Suarez. Been a really big impact, much bigger than I expected. So 5 teams have won both games. It's LAFC, who've looked really good. Columbus, more kind of grinding out results. Vancouver, who I've loved watch both the Vancouver games. San Jose is scoring for fun. And Philly sit top of the Supporters' Shield standings currently. So there's your roundup. We go into week 3 and it's wide open. If you start to see Vancouver winning another couple of games, that's going to be really interesting because LAFC and Miami are also going to be up there. So it's nice to see some of these teams, maybe Charlotte, maybe San Diego, going to push on and cause them some problems as well. But I'm excited about week 3. And I reckon I've watched more MLS in this first 2 weeks than ever before. So I'm enjoying it.
Wow. someone who hasn't watched any MLS so far this season is because I have banned her from watching it so she doesn't see the kits before she does the kit reviews, is my wife Poppy, and it's time for part 1 of Poppy's kit reviews.
MLS UK Show with Elliot Holman and Henry Hewitt.
Welcome back to the MLS UK Show, and it's now time for, well, what you've all been waiting for, really, and it's took us 3 episodes to do it. It's Poppy's kit reviews. Now, if you know the MLS UK Show, if you've listened in years before, you will know who she is. She's my wife. She's a makeup artist on a TV show here in the UK called Coronation Street. So originally, I think 4, 5, 6 years ago, whenever it was, we thought rather than us go through the kits and make our opinions, let's use Poppy, because as a makeup artist, she knows what colours match each other, patterns that should be used or not. And she doesn't really like football. She knows as much as I tell her. So she then doesn't have the, oh, well, LA Galaxy have always played in white, so they will continue to play in white. She will then say, why don't we change and play in a different colour? When we all know you can't really do that. MLS you probably could, but not really. She's come up with analogies of, I don't know, Seattle and Austin shouldn't play in green because it's the same colour of the pitch. And a few others as well. So she's back on form. We recorded this the other day. Elliot, you're always excited for this, like everyone else is. But do you have any predictions? What sort of kits are you enjoying so far?
Well, we need a Poppy bingo card. So Buzzy Bees for Columbus, dressed as the pitch normally for Seattle, as you said. But yeah, Minnesota have been fire with their kits recently, last few years. They got some beauties. It's almost a shame to see the old one drop off, because they've had some great ones. You get to the end of the 2-year cycle, and sometimes you're really excited that teams are going to, ditch what's been a bit of a dull one or one you didn't like. And sometimes, in Minnesota's case, it's like, oh, it's a shame that. I reckon she'll love that. And some are exactly the same as before. Atlanta United.
We will see what she says about Atlanta's, and that may be, without hearing it, you may have just given away her first one, because we're going to do the Eastern Conference first. But before that, Poppy, she's done it a few years now. She wanted to introduce her kit reviews with a slight change. Here's what she had to say.
Hi, this is Poppy, and this is Poppy's famous kit reviews for MLS 2025.
The famous kit reviews. So she's rebranded. Like Nathan's got his famous hot dogs, Poppy has a famous kit reviews now.
Has she got an agent yet?
Yeah, it's me, and I take 15% of what we pay her. Right, well, as I said, we're going to do the Western Conference. So what's going to happen is, if you are watching on YouTube, the kit will appear on your screen, so you can have a look. If you are listening on your podcast provider, we're going to put a link in the description of the episode, so you can see what Elliot is seeing, because I've sent him a link as well. This used to be so much more easier when we were actually together, but now we're on Zoom. So strap yourselves in, folks. We're going to do Eastern Conference first. Here is what she had to say about Atlanta United. Bearing in mind her husband supports this team, here's what she had to say about Atlanta United's jersey for this year.
Haven't we seen this before? I swear you've got this top already. This to me doesn't scream anything new. I know what you always say, they can't change the colours. But yeah, I genuinely cannot see anything different.
There we go. So, as you said there, you can't tell any difference. There's a bit of gold on it, that's the difference. But it's difficult with stripes though, isn't it?
Well, there was, of course, the famous time when Atlanta, the 5 stripes, had more than 5 stripes, which is ridiculous. But yeah, I mean, this is why I don't like striped shirts, mate. This is it forever. Black and white, black and red stripes. Yawn.
So we move on to Charlotte FC then. Wilfred Zaha will be wearing this kit, and during a kit review, you can tell that we have a Disney Plus subscription.
It reminds me of Moana, when she's sailing away in a little canoe, like the paddle. Yeah, I like it. It feels tribal. I like it.
So there you go. It looks, the patterns reminder of Moana. Like I said, you can tell we've got a Disney Plus subscription. There's a few more Disney references coming up.
I can see what she means. It's not my favourite kit, this. A little bit too plain and black. Remember when LAFC had a similar one to this? Wasn't a fan of that either.
Okay, so moving on next, we've got Chicago. Now, Chicago's kit is sort of a pale blue, light blue, lilac maybe, violet. Who knows? It's some shade of blue. Here's what Poppy had to say about it.
It's like a load of Ys or a load of cubes interlinking. It's quite cool. It just blends into a little bit of nothingness. And I'm not a massive fan of the red little sidey things on the collar.
So there we go.
It's fair. It's boring, isn't it? Really, that template is pretty much what Adidas have gone for most of the league, and unless there's something cool in the pattern, I feel like it does just become a bit of a snooze fest. It's okay. It's all right.
Yeah, it is weird, isn't it? Sometimes that they seem to put a lot more effort into some kits, and then others they go, oh, I don't know. It's based on the city's waterworks, which this one is actually the waterways of Chicago. Or they're just trying to find some link with the city. Right. Well, let's move on to FC Cincinnati. Then this is their orange and blue legacy kit, which again screams a bit of laziness by Adidas. But here we go. Here is Poppy's kit review for this. 2 shades of blue and orange. You know what you're getting from Cincy.
Well, that's not a legacy that I'd want.
Short but sweet. I do love Poppy's short but sweet ones.
Brutal. It's not going to be the best kit they've ever had, is it? But I kind of get it. But 10 years, not to 10 years. In 100 years, they're not going to be remaking that one.
They're not, no. Right, we'll move on to Columbus then. Now, I didn't know this, but the writer of Goosebumps, R.L. Stine, is from Columbus. So they took some inspiration from him for their kit. It's all black with sort of yellow, as if you've got a paintbrush and just splodged it all over the shirt. Now, Poppy, I told this to Poppy before she did a kit review, and she's then imagined if Goosebumps was written on her street in Manchester.
Well, Columbus, you're giving me goosebumps. I like it. It looks like some streets around near us when they've got a pothole. Kind of like it.
I see paint splodges, she says. Pothole. We do get a lot of rain in Manchester, so maybe the water with it. I'll have to pay more attention to potholes when I'm on my walk.
It's literally the Norwich City away kit. I've just sent you it. It's the same thing. It's the same shirt. If you're listening and you're watching and you want to Google it, just Norwich City away kit 2024, 2025. It's the same shirt, but not by Adidas, which is weird.
No splodges though on Norwich's. It's more designed, in a actual pattern. Right, well, let's move on to DC United then. So this is their away shirt. Now, this is to pay homage to Washington DC's rich funk, soul, heritage, showcasing a vibrant influence of art. But Poppy's not seen that. She's seen something else. Here's what she had to say.
It feels very Moroccan inspired, like with those colours. It seems like a dusty kind of terracotta pavement with like a nice little mosaic. I don't love it, but I equally quite like it.
So she's seen Moroccan there, inspired rather than the funk and soul.
It's the same template, isn't it? So the bits we're talking about are the same bits at the side of the shirt and under the shoulders. It's not for me, this one. No, hard pass from me.
If you're watching on YouTube and saw my face illuminated in pink when we came back from that, you'll know that next we go to Inter Miami. Now, they've released 2 jerseys. We've spoke about this. You would do if you had Leo Messi as a model. And first of all, Poppy's been looking at their home kit. Now, we know she likes pink, and we also know she likes sweets, especially UK sweets. So this reference may go over half of our listeners' heads, but if you're living in the UK, you might get it. Here's what she's got to say about this.
This really reminds me of Percy Pigs, which you were not going to know if you're not from the UK. They're a little pig gummy sweet, and that's just what it's giving me. It's really giving me Percy Pig vibes.
Yeah, I mean, going to be the best-selling shirt, isn't it? You get Messi on the back, and job done. It's all everybody wants. But for as long as it's got that Miami badge on it, I'm out.
Well, a contender for the best-selling shirts, that Inter Miami home shirt, will be the Inter Miami away shirt, which is black. It's 2 shades of black with pink, the pink is the sponsor, the Adidas logo, and the badge as well. So she likes pink, but does she like it on black? Here's what she's got to say about this.
This is just delightful. Basically, they've made 2 shirts, cut them up, stuck them back together, and put the most delightful pink all over the front. Love it.
So she loves that one. She's a big fan.
Best kit so far, isn't it? It's nice, that.
Yeah, it is very smart. Moving on to Montreal, and they will go into the category of, well, teams that Adidas aren't, I don't think, bothered about. Similar problem
is this even new?
Similar problem to Atlanta, really, with the stripes. Theirs is blue and black, of course. If you're new to MLS, Montreal, kind of like Inter Milan sort of colours. And I don't think there's much you can do with stripes. Maybe different size of stripe, maybe. Anyway, Poppy's had her say on it, and here's what she's got to say.
We've seen some really great kits so far, and Montreal, you're just letting me down. It's just stripy, isn't it? It's just black and blue stripes.
It's really disappointing. And so it's the same template that we keep talking about, the standard Adidas template. But you have to look really hard to realise that, because they've even tried to hide any of that personality. It's just stripes. And I honestly would not be able to tell you that was a new Montreal top. I really wouldn't.
Well, we then go to Nashville, who their away jersey is, navy blue with bits of yellow on it. So I think we've seen this before from Nashville. And here's what Poppy had to say about this one.
I'm really disappointed. It looks like a shiny shirt with like a just nasty looking yellow on it.
Agreed.
Yeah, short and sweet again from Poppy. Not a fan of the Nashville kits. You know what? I don't think she's, if my memory serves me right, I don't think she's a big fan of Nashville kits anyway. I don't think she's ever give one a positive review. But Nashville kits there's not much pattern to them, I don't think.
No.
So let's move on to New England Revolution. So this is the away jersey. It's white. It's inspired. Well, it's called the White Pine Kit. So it's got sort of tree arrow shapes in green on a white background. This is inspired by the flag of New England on the 250th anniversary of its first use by New England colonies in the Revolutionary War. So that is where they've got the design from. They've also got the sponsor Gillette, and Poppy has seen that and then just gone with her own description of the shirt.
I really love it, and I almost feel like they've worked with the sponsor on this, because if you look, it does kind of look like razor blades, and I've not counted the stripes, but Gillette have 5 blades, and if they had gone 5 stripes, they would have been winning even more. I really like this. I see why it's called Pine, but to me, it really looks like razor blades.
So I guess New England will be looking to cut through the defence of their opposition. They haven't done it so far, but that's what they'll be looking to do in that kit.
Yeah, gone for a bit of Sheffield United and the blades. I like this. It's also, if you don't focus on the tree so much and just take the design, it's a little bit Mexico, it's a little bit Nigeria, isn't it, as well? Like I like this. It's up there with the Miami one so far for me.
So let's head to New Jersey then, as we review the New Jerseys and New York Red Bulls. So this is their secondary jersey. It's kind of it's like a coffee cut sort of colour, an off-white. How would you describe that colour, Elliot?
Foul, horrible. You know when you have that project at school where you have to do parchment paper and you stain it with tea and rip it up a little bit? That's what it looks like. Yeah.
Well, Poppy's looked more at I don't even know what the design is on there. It's very blocky, and that's where Poppy's looked at with her review.
If Minecraft made maps.
There you go. If Minecraft...
Is that it?
That's it. If Minecraft made maps. That is what she sees in that shirt. I don't think she's ever played Minecraft, so I'm quite impressed she knows what it is. Yeah, not much really to say about that one. There is more of a design than we've seen with Nashville and Montreal, though.
Aren't some of these terrible this year, by the way?
Yeah, it's not been a great. I mean, some are really good, and we'll get onto them. But yeah, I think I agree with you here. I think for the 30th year as well, I'm a bit disappointed so far. Well, let's head over to NYCFC then. It's their home jersey, so we know what we're getting. Light blue, sky blue, Manchester City blue, of course, with a pattern on it. To me, it looks like this pattern. Do you know back in the day when we used to scan stuff? Do you know if you've... it looks like there's a couple of pages that have come loose and it's all... Yeah. That's my take on it. Here's what Poppy had to say.
I like this. It reminds me of maybe like textbooks or like books that are being stacked up. It's quite cool.
Quite cool. She likes it.
I'm surprised. It's not getting my vote.
Elliot, now it's time.
Here we go.
For your boys, Orlando. Now it's the purple jersey. I tell you what, you can explain it. Yeah, have you bought one yet, or will you be buying one?
I will be buying one. This is lush. This is really nice. It's actually really similar to the All-Star jersey when Orlando hosted. So yeah, this is called the Perfect Storm kit. And it's obviously inspired by the stormy skies in Orlando. The worst driving conditions I've ever experienced was in Orlando, so this makes complete sense to me. I love it. I absolutely love this kit. I think it's great.
So, Poppy has had her say, and I think the situation we're both in as new parents, we'd be able to appreciate her thoughts on this one, is what she's had to say.
You know what? I think this is the first Orlando kit I've liked in a while. I can't really remember last year's, but I really like this. It reminds me of the soft plays that I take our little boy to, where they have like the light kaleidoscopes that's like baby sensory.
So baby sensory, that's what she sees in that Orlando kit. So maybe if we need to calm Arthur down, we will buy an Orlando kit for him.
Well, Aurelia, my daughter, is learning obviously the animals and the noises. So whenever I wear my Orlando jersey, she just points to it and goes, "Rah!" Which that's a proud dad moment for me. And yeah, that's the first Orlando jersey she's liked in years. So we're doing good.
So let's move on to Philadelphia then. Philadelphia's away jerseys always are interesting. They had the Simpsons jersey a few years ago where it's clouds in the sky. Similar colours, actually. They've gone with light blue with sort of electric yellow lightning bolts kind of going across it. I think that's what they are. Well, it's called the Voltage kit, so there you go. So that's my take on it. Here's what Poppy had to say.
I really like what they've done with this, but I'm not a massive fan of the colours. This would have looked so much better if it was on a darker background. It kind of just looks like you've laid your shirt down and squirted bleach on it. This had so much potential.
She's right. Also, have they not done this kit before?
Yeah, they've done similar colours. It might be that Simpsons kit that's similar, but I looked at it and thought...
I'm sure there was a lightning bolt one before, but... Yeah, she's right with the bleach. She's right. It would be better on a dark background. However, it wouldn't be much use as an away kit, would it?
No. Right, well, let's round off the East with Toronto. Home jersey. It's red. Different shades of red, though, as it builds up the shirt. Here's what she's had to say about this.
I know what I always say about red kits, but I don't hate this. I like that it's got the steps that go from different colours. I think they should have actually just stuck with the steps. It just seems like there's a lot of ideas that are trying to be thrown on this shirt and they're not all working together. If we broke it down a little bit, I think it would have been a lot better.
Yeah, it's a lot of different reds going on. The kind of maroon red is not working for me. That's not a Toronto colour. But in a year of terrible jerseys, it's just actually quite good.
Right, well, there is Poppy's kit reviews for the East. We're going to do the West very shortly, but before we do, we're going to break it up with a bit of MLS news. Here's some things that have happened since we've last recorded. Now, we are recording on Thursday evening, so Miami haven't played their Champions League game just yet, but some MLS teams have. Cincinnati drew 1-1 against Tigres. LAFC comprehensively beat Columbus 3-0. Herediano, I think I've said that right. Probably haven't. Well, they beat LA Galaxy 1-0. Seattle drew 0-0 against Cruz Azul. And Vancouver drew against Monterrey 1-1, which is a good result because Monterrey, Cruz Azul, and Tigres are teams that keep on popping up in the Champions League. And we keep on saying they beat MLS teams every year. So good results for Cincy and Vancouver there.
As someone who gets up on a weekday morning at 3 a.m., I'm not seeing any of these games. Get an MLS team to the final and I'll be there. But until then, it's a struggle. The scheduling is a struggle. And I think as well, it does, we say this every year, it does take away from these early weeks of MLS a little bit when teams are, rotating. Obviously we didn't see Messi at the weekend because of the Champions League game. So it's very congested.
It is, yeah. I point out Seattle also got a good result. I just didn't mention them there. But yeah, it's interesting you say that with Miami because they're playing tonight. They then play Charlotte on Sunday. We all know already that Messi isn't going to play those 2 games. Is Suarez going to play those 2 games? So, we did say this in our preview episode that Miami are probably going to be more of a cup team for the start of this season. So it wouldn't surprise me if they do sacrifice, some games in MLS. They've bought some really good players who probably can play 2 games in a few days. So I'm sure they'll be fine. But the likes of Messi and Suarez are probably going to be used when they can be. Right, moving on then to San Diego. And it's a bit of an unfortunate, really news story coming from their first home game, their home opener. They drew 0-0 against St. Louis, which I think, Elliot, we need to give St. Louis a massive boo. They've had 2 0-0s. We don't come to MLS for 0-0s.
I know. Are they ever going to score a goal? Are they ever going to concede a goal? Just keeping it consistent. But yeah, it's a big boo so far for St. Booists.
Nice. But San Diego were in the news because they've had to come out and condemn some homophobic chanting against the St. Louis goalkeeper. Now, this has come from Mexico. We've actually seen this a few times. The All-Star game, we saw it as well. So, obviously, San Diego come out and condemned it. I think the league have as well. And it all happens when the opposition goalkeeper takes a goal kick. So it was such a shame, really, because, I watched bits of that game and just seeing San Diego, I think it was the largest attendance they've ever had in that stadium, the Snapdragon Stadium. It was a real good atmosphere. It was a real good game. Shame ended 0-0, but it's just a bit of a sour note on what was largely a positive experience for San Diego.
Yeah, and coming off the back of a 3 points against the MLS Cup champions as well in the first week. So there was a lot of good press for San Diego until that moment. So it's a big shame to see that was going on.
And finally, Jack Harrison looks set to make a return to MLS. There's rumours coming out, reports coming out today that he's on loan at Everton from Leeds United at the moment. He hasn't really done that well for Everton in the Premier League. Leeds could be in the Premier League themselves, will probably go in a different direction. So Jack Harrison could be on his way back to MLS. You'd obviously look at NYCFC as a place for him to go, but Orlando, would you have him?
Absolutely. Love Jack Harrison. It felt like really big news. Remember, back in the day, we weren't that used to MLS players coming over to the UK. So when Jack Harrison did that, it was a bit of a monumental moment. But we'll welcome him back, just as we did with Miggy. And I'd love to see him at Orlando.
And I guess we can mention as well, Kevin De Bruyne continues to get linked with San Diego at the end of the Premier League season. Still a top player. It's been difficult this year. I think it's been difficult for a lot of Manchester City's players this season. But to go to San Diego, that'd be a great signing for them.
Unreal. Potentially the best MLS signing ever. It's got to be up there. I understand the Messi situation, but De Bruyne, this is not a guy who's remotely struggling. Like this would be huge.
Yeah, I think when you look at De Bruyne, if say Barcelona came in and got him, you would not be surprised at Bayern Munich, that type of club, PSG. So if San Diego can get this over the line and MLS can, then great for the league. So we'll keep our eye on that one. So there's some news stories this week regarding MLS. So we've talked about, we've recapped the action. We've done the East of Poppy's kit reviews. We've done some news. I guess all that leaves us to do is go through the Western Conference of Poppy's kit reviews.
MLS UK Show with Elliot Holman and Henry Hewitt.
And that means we start with one of the better kits. I know exactly what Poppy's going to say about it. So I'll let her do the honors. But this is actually in the top few percent, in the top percentile of kits this year, because it's been a pretty bad year.
Well, it's called the Heartbeat kit. It's Austin FC. It's green. It's 2 shades of green in a stripe, which actually do look like a pitch. I think we know where Poppy's going to go with this. Starting off the Western Conference, here's Poppy's review of Austin FC's jersey.
Well, this is not making my heart beat. Every year, stop dressing as the pitch and you might win.
To be fair, Austin did have a good second season and first season, but you can't argue with what she's just said there with the rest of the time in MLS.
You can't be making VAR's life easier to call you offside by drawing lines on your own shirt that looks just like the pitch. It's not the worst, though.
It isn't. That moves us on to Colorado Rapids, and I'm not saying theirs is one of the worst, because this actually is quite an interesting jersey. It's a water design on it. The colours are, well, just of water, really. A different badge for Colorado. Do you not have this badge, do they, on the home jersey as well?
Does it say Colorado under the sponsor as well?
I think it does, yeah. Very retro.
In
I
kind of
that.
like what you were in the sort of jumper you'd get from Primark.
Yeah. Weirdly, if you don't know, if you're from the US, that in Primark in the UK, they sell jumpers with random US place names written on it, like kind of like a varsity sort of college top. But yeah, you will get like Colorado or San Diego, and people walk around in them. It's very weird.
But there's someone in Colorado walking around with a top that just says Bolton.
Could be. They might be a High School Musical fan though. Let's have a look at what she thinks of this kit then. As I said, it's Rapids, it's water, it's very light blue, watery blue. Here's what she's got to say.
Ooh, I like this. I really like this. I can feel myself on a little rubber dinghy in the rapids. This is perfect. It looks like someone's had a fun time with Photoshop.
Fun times with Photoshop. That could be the title of a podcast episode.
Do you know what? Until you said about the water, I don't look at that and see water. Is that weird? It just looks a bit moldy, if anything. It looks almost like more like woodland. I like it, the different badge. I like the idea of the water, but let me put it to you this way. If Minnesota did that kit, the water would be more obvious. Do you know what I mean? Like it's not quite cut through for me.
I do know what you mean, and Minnesota's kit is coming up very soon. But let's go to FC Dallas first. This is our Inferno kit. Now, I will explain the Inferno kit in a moment, but I think by your reaction as well, Elliot, you might be looking at that and going, well, that is a very light blue. There's bits of red on it, but what is Inferno about that? And that's where Poppy went with her review.
When I read Inferno, I thought it was going to be like fiery and like spicy, and that it just looks like a creased shirt. It's just boring.
The Inferno is, of course, the one of the first Dallas supporters groups when they were Dallas Burns, so that's why it's a homage to them rather than the actual colours of it.
That is the worst kit so far. It's dreadful. They've ruined the badge and made it red. It looks like a training kit, but not even a good one. This bad.
You can't say boring about a Houston Dynamo kit. Even their away jerseys seem to be exciting, full of colour. Of course, the home jerseys are always orange. There's a design on it though, kind of diamond design. Here's what we'll play Poppy's kit review first. She can tell you what she thinks of it, and then I may explain it afterwards of why it looks like that.
I surprisingly really like this one. I love that the diamonds get bigger and smaller. It reminds me of a basketball net, actually. The only thing I don't love is the blue at the bottom, but it really reminds me of a basketball net.
So Houston Dynamo have done this kit in their signature orange and Space City blue, honouring all supporters old and new. I think that screams to me that Adidas are bored and they don't want to really deal with Houston. The fact that they've gone, let's just honour the supporters. I mean, that's an easy one. But Houston have got a lot about them.
It's this same template again. It's just not doing bits, is it? It is boring. It just is boring.
I did do some research though, and maybe our US listeners and viewers may laugh at this, the fact that I've had to do research on it, but I'm not a massive NBA fan. I think I had one of the PlayStation games years ago. Houston do have an NBA team, the Houston Rockets, so maybe there is a slight homage to the basketball team. Maybe Poppy has got something in that.
Maybe, or maybe it's just a really bang average kit.
Well, you can't say bang average kit about our next one, and it's MLS Cup champions LA Galaxy. This is their away jersey. They wore it at the weekend. Couldn't win in it though. Lots of stars on this, as you'd imagine. I mean, it's different. There's purple on it. There's dark blue on it. There's then the sort of yellowy gold of Galaxy, which is the sponsor and the badge. There's a lot going on this kit, isn't there, Elliot?
Yeah, and I really like it. I really like it. So many stars, they've had to start stacking them up. This is good. This is nice, and this is on that Minnesota level of just something a little bit different. It's nice. I like it, and I like the yellow. Yellow's nice.
Well, this is what Poppy had to say.
That is really cool. That's like when your car leaks oil or petrol and the sun hits it and it gets that gorgeous little rainbow in it. It really does scream Galaxy. I can completely see why LA Galaxy have gone for this.
It does actually. You do get very space vibes with it.
It is a little bit spacey. Good shout with the petrol as well. Yeah, it's up there for me, big time.
So let's go to LAFC then. This is their new secondary kit. It's white with basically everything on it: gold, your badge, your sponsor, your Adidas logo, the sleeve logo, the Adidas stripes on the shoulders. Everything is gold apart from the actual shirt, which is white. I think Real Madrid had a similar jersey years ago.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think if you described it to me, I'd say, they've gone Real Madrid. But I feel like they've missed the mark.
Well, does Poppy agree? Here's what she's got to say.
Not a massive fan of that gold. It's a bronzy gold. It's just a bit dirty looking. It's antique-y. You either go bright white and go crisp and clean, and it just seems like too big of a contrast for me.
Let's move on to Minnesota then. You've been teasing this shirt, all kit reviews, and you said there about if there was water on the Minnesota shirt, it'd be more prominent. And, well, that is exactly what they've done. Straight down the middle, you have got more of a tidal wave kind of feel to it than the Rapids. It's all in blue, lighter blue on the right-hand side towards the left, which is darker blue. It's to celebrate the abundant waterways and resources in Minnesota and the Minnesota rivers as well.
Yeah, not as out there as some of their recent jerseys. However, I like it. And, Minnesota's strong point is the badge. The badge is a cut-out badge, and it just they just look so good.
Well, funnily enough, Poppy mentions the badge in her kit review.
I really, really like this. Very seasidey. I love that it looks like the waves are crashing, and I just think the placement of their bird badge, I'm sorry, I really don't know what bird it is, but it almost looks like it's flying out of the sea. Oh, I love it. Really well done. And it's a really calming shirt.
Really calming shirt. So Minnesota might be looking to put their opponents into a state of zen and take advantage, which they did on Saturday. They got the late goal. They won the game. Right, let's move on to Portland then. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see my room has been lit up in sort of gold and green. And that's what you get with Portland. The kind of ripples around the badge. So it's green, as you'd imagine. But on the main part of it, where the badge is kind of like sound waves or ripples coming up from the badge. Well, that's Poppy's seen that, but she sees it slightly differently.
Looks like a fingerprint.
There's no mention of it, but is it meant to be the inside of a tree?
It could be. That's a great shout, actually. With the that's how you tell how old the tree is.
And it would be cool if it's Spirit of 75. Is there 75? I'm not counting them.
Well, while you try and count them, let's us move on. Real Salt Lake have released their secondary jersey. They wore it on Saturday and got the win in that one. It's basically a white and dark blue, sort of navy blue check, like the tiles of a bathroom floor or a kitchen. Yeah, it's just a tiled sort of check effect. It's white and navy blue. Here's what Poppy's had to say.
Well, at least you can have a picnic on it or play chess.
You know what? Because I knew what she was going to say, it took all my will not to say it looks like a chessboard. So I think she's got that spot on, actually.
It's one of the worst kits I've ever seen.
Wow.
You've got no business using yellow on that. You can't see it on the white. So that's the sponsor can't be happy with that. That doesn't. That's no. It doesn't work. Not good. Not good at all.
So let's move into San Diego and their home jersey. So they've released a home and a away jersey because they're brand new to the league. The home one is a navy blue again. You know, sometimes like St. Louis came in, interesting coloured jersey. You know, San Diego have come in and gone with navy blue. I just think it's a bit boring at times.
Same template as well. You just new team coming into the league, getting your first jersey, but same template as everyone else.
Well, it looks like there's a different sort of texture to the shirt as well, which is what Poppy's seen, and is what she's had to say about it.
First of all, welcome San Diego. I do like what you've done there. I would actually quite like to see this in person, because if it feels textured, then I'm no longer a fan. It really is giving me tea towel vibes.
It's like a waffle print.
Yeah, first of all, I love how she's welcomed San Diego as official kit spokesman. She welcomes San Diego to the league. And second of all, tea towel vibes. I guess that would be like I don't think they'd call it a tea towel in the States, maybe a hand towel. Basically, was something you'd find in your kitchen to wash your hands after washing up or something like that.
Yeah, she's not wrong. It's one of the better kits of the year. It's simple but effective. There's a lot worse out there. I think it's a little bit better than their away kit, if I'm honest.
Yeah, well, that leads us on to the away kit, which is white, and it's got this sort of ripple effect, kind of what Portland has, a bit different, but kind of a bit discreet on the jersey. It's called the Woven into One kit. Here's what she had to say about this one.
This really reminds me of the Timbers shirt with the ripples, or like the fingerprinty kind of vibe. Again, it just makes the white look dirty. I wish they'd have really considered the colours. I think it just makes you look like you've washed your shirt with a couple of darks.
It's apparently a blank canvas for the people of San Diego to come together and imagine the future of the club. I mean, come on. Get over yourselves, Adidas. Get over yourselves.
It's a nice thought, but it's a bit cringe. Let's move on to San Jose then. So San Jose, this is a really interesting jersey. You've got your dark blue colour, which we're used to with San Jose, but it's kind of got newspaper headlines sort of in the pattern on it. A very interesting jersey. Josef Martinez was wearing it in the promotional image of it. Here's what Poppy's had to say. And once again, it brings us back to us having a Disney Plus subscription.
I really like this. You know, it really reminds me of Cruella de Vil's dress when she like falls out of the bin in the new film. It's like all made of newspaper articles and kind of graffiti. I really, really like this.
You can tell we've got a child now with the amount of Disney references that she's doing.
It's not the worst. I'd like to see this kit in 50 years' time when it's a bit more Harry Potter, you know, where the newspapers actually move while they're wearing it.
Yeah, that'd be good. Interactive sponsors, that'll be what's next on football jerseys.
They've got it on the F1 cars this year. Like McLaren have got, like, it changes on the side. Crazy. Ridiculous. Let's get that on a shirt.
So let's move to Seattle Sounders. Seattle always have interesting kits. They've gone with their secondary jersey this year. Where do you even start with this? It's the predominant colour is dark blue. There's a lot of dark blue this year in MLS jerseys, but there's then triangle patterns all over it. It's kind of arrows. I'll read the description. This is what they see with it. The kit is designed in collaboration with artists representing Puyallup, don't know if that's right, Muckleshoot and Squamish tribes, paying homage to Sounders' deep connection with the Puget. I started, and I wish I'd never read this out because I'm butchering it. Puget Sound, and highlighting the club's shared responsibility as stewards towards a greater watershed. Anyway, let's see what Poppy thought.
I do really like this. I'd be really interested to see what this looks like in person because it looks like it's going to be a textured shirt, but I think it is just printed on. I like that they aren't just triangles and they've got like squiggles to the triangles. I think this works really well and I love the colour of the stripes on the shoulders. This is a really great shirt.
This is also Moana vibes. If the grandma from Moana went and got you a little shawl or jumper, not a jumper, a blanket to put on, that's what it would look like.
So let's move on to SKC then. You know what you're getting with SKC. It's a light blue, sort of sky blue kit with a dark blue pattern on it. We've had something like this in recent years if you go and listen back to Poppy's kit reviews, and it's happened again. The type of design she sees is tyres.
Someone's been experimenting with the bike. They've got new tyres for Christmas and they've had a ride around on that.
Right, not many left to do now, only 2. St. Louis being the first one. It's that red, fuchsia red home jersey. It's got a collar on it. It's got a button at the top. It's got a vertical, sort of diagonal, half diagonal higher for half vertical pinstripe lines going across it. Now, we did have a message off a Mr. Biggs on X about this. He pointed out that this kit pays tribute to the US beating England 1-0 in the 1950 World Cup. The 5 stripes that are the pinstripes that go across it are the 5 players from St. Louis who played. Poppy didn't know or care about that. Here's what she had to say.
It's a red kit that's just red. It has got some stripes on it. I have just seen the diagonal stripes. It's trying to persuade me to like it, but the fact that they're just shimmery stripes, they've not even got a colour to them, and it's got a funny collar, hasn't it, as well? It looks like a golf shirt. That's what it looks like. That's what it's a golf shirt.
Yeah, it's not the one. What a terrible year for MLS kits.
She got there in the end, the golf shirt. I think she's hit that. Out of all of them, that's the nail on the head for that one. Is it looks like a golf shirt. So let's round it off then. Vancouver Whitecaps. I always feel really sorry for Vancouver because they tend to be the last team. She's a bit tired and a bit bored of jerseys at this point. So here's what she had to say about this kit. Now, again, you know what you're getting with Vancouver. It's a white jersey with... I think they've had it before, a very similar one, navy blue across the torso where the sponsor is. Here's what she had to say about this one.
It's just a white with a blue horizontal stripe across the middle.
Well, yeah, she's just explained what it looks like, so I think she got tired at this point.
It's nice of them to pay homage to the last kit and the kit before that and the kit before that. One thing I noticed when I watched Vancouver last weekend was you see the ones on the sleeve, like the dark blue on the sleeve. From a distance, it looks like every player is captain.
Yeah.
And I got really confused because when they scored at the weekend, I was like, oh, I didn't know he was captain. And then like in the next couple of minutes, I was like, oh, no, he isn't. He's captain. Oh, no, they're all captain. It's actually really confusing. But again, not the worst shirt of the year.
It's not. I don't like, though, where you said there, the sort of stripe on the sleeve, it doesn't align with the stripe in the middle of a shirt. I don't like that. But other than that, hey, I'm a Bolton Wanderers fan. I don't mind a white shirt. Right, so there's all Poppy's kit reviews for 2025. Now, as usual, she picks her top 3 at the end. Elliot, any thoughts going off what we've heard, what she might pick?
I think Orlando could make the top 3 for the first time ever. Orlando, Minnesota, and LA Galaxy, I think, will be the 3. And I don't think there's any other answer, to be honest.
Well, here's what she said. Here are Poppy's favourite jerseys of 2025.
And my top 3 kits for 2025, in no particular order, the Inter Miami, the black and pink one. I really like the San Jose kit. It's really innovative. I've never seen that done before. And the Colorado Rapids one. Well done, guys. You've been listening to the podcast clearly, and you've all taken my advice on board. So love the work.
Praises Adidas there at the end. Love the work. Love the designs. She'll be back next year.
Yeah, hopefully the kits will be better next year. I can't believe after all she said, Galaxy didn't get a look in.
I know. Like I said, she was a bit tired at this point. I think Arthur had woken up. Do you know the when you look at the baby monitor and you can see that he's woken up, he's sat in his cot, and you're like, he could cry at any moment here. Let's just get this done.
Game over any second, yeah. Which is what's happening now, by the way. I'm the only one here, so my daughter's just about clinging on, asleep, just.
Yeah, and just to peer behind the curtain, we did have to stop recording because my son woke up in floods of tears. We've had a pizza arrive as well, so we have been recording this for a long time. So it is best that we round it up. Thanks again to Poppy for doing that, and thanks for all your messages beforehand asking where Poppy is. It is the most exciting time of MLS UK show for a lot of you, and she loves doing it. So she passes on her thanks as well for her famous kit reviews and the responses they get.
It's normally in the first episode, so thanks for listening to the third episode this year. You can stop now and come back next year.
If you want to have your say on what Poppy said about your team's kit or anything we've talked about for the rest of the episode, then get in touch with at MLS UK Show across all the socials. If you are watching this on YouTube, then don't forget to click the subscribe button, like the video, and click the notification bell as well to be notified whenever we drop an episode or a video. If you are listening on your podcast provider, then we'd really appreciate it if you could leave us a rating and a review. But if you are going to leave us a rating, Elliot, there is one rule and one rule only.
Yeah, you got to stack up those stars like Galaxy have on their new jersey. 5 stars only, please. Thanks.
Yeah, and then one day they'll create a 6th and we can go back to saying LA Galaxy style. But until then, we'll be back next time. I've been Henry Hewitt.
And I've been Elliot Holman.
See ya.